Hey there, welcome back to Flat Tire Farm. Today we're gonna make a roasted turnip and garlic soup and can it up for the winter, but first we better get the turnips. Mr. Reeves digging away with the tractor, so we'll have to forgive the noise, but let's find us some turnips. These are broccolis that are probably not gonna make it. This is a beautiful one. Oh my gosh, look at that. It's bigger than my hand. Okay, now Mr. Reeves says there's a giant turnip at the end of the pea row. So, let's see. Okay. Well, that's a zucchini, but this is definitely a turnip. Let's look at this guy. Oh yeah, he's all right. Oh my goodness. Yep, he's a big one. All right, so all I'm doing out here is cutting off the roots with all the dirt, putting them on the ground. I will cut off the greens, put the turnips in the bucket. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. Probably not. Let's see if I can hi-ya this. Hi-ya! Hey, that worked. Well, we ended up with a little bit too much turnip. Let's try that. Hi-ya! There we go. That's perfect. Look at that. And a little bit of dirt. Okay. You think I can hi-ya the top off? I bet I can hi-ya the top. 1, 2, 3. Hi-ya. Oh, perfect. There we go. Okay, I'll see if there's any others. I'll go feed these to the pigs, but I'll leave the pig footage at the end so that you can stay and watch it if you want, or if you just want to learn how to make soup, we'll get to it right now. Okay, it looks like my bartender radishes started to decide to do something, and also I have a couple of radishes that are starting to split. It's rained a lot here the last couple of days, so I'm going to put those in here too. Now this is basically a roasted root vegetable soup. You can add whatever root vegetables you want in there. Potatoes, carrots if you got them, but my potatoes and carrots aren't ready yet. The potatoes haven't even bloomed yet. And the carrots, well, they'll get there. It always takes time for these guys. They're tiny still. And that's okay. When we get there, we'll make something with them too. Okay, I wanted to show you. It's 7 o'clock at night. It's July 22nd, and look how high the sun still is in the sky. Pretty cool, huh? Okay guys, I ran out of time yesterday after being in the garden, so I just put these in the fridges the next day. The sun is out, so the lighting's gonna be a little weird in here, and that's okay. All we're gonna do is clean up these vegetables. We can use a potato peeler to get the skins off so we're not wasting too much of it. The skins will go in the bucket for the pigs. We'll feed those later. And anything that's big and ugly, like there's this little ball of roots here, I'm just gonna use my knife and cut that off. It'll go in the pig bucket. Once we get it all cleaned up like this, all we need to do is cut it into about 3/4 inch or 1 inch cubes. Not bigger than 1 inch, okay? Try to keep all your fingers, that's important. Okay, then we're gonna put them on a lined cookie sheet. This is just some parchment paper. You could have a silicone liner underneath. You can just leave it plain if you want. I just don't want the dishes, so I usually line everything. Okay? When I get all these chopped up, then I'll meet you back for the next step. Okay, we got all of our turnips cut up. At this point, I'm not exactly sure what the weight is on this, and I'm kind of a cook as you go kind of a lady, but I will make sure that you have the right measurements and weights when I put the recipe in the description below. So those were the turnips. The radishes are really easy. We're just gonna cut the root end off and the stem end, and if you want to cut it in half, you can. If it's too big, but they get kind of shrivelly, so I try to keep them whole if I can, as long as they're not bigger than, much bigger than 1 inch. This guy's already broken in half from the amount of water that we got. They split open when they get too much water, just kind of like tomatoes do. So I'm just gonna cut him anyways. And then these bartender radishes that finally decided to think about doing something. I'm just gonna take my potato peeler and get all those little roots off. And then I'll just kind of chop them up into pieces. Okay, I went ahead and weighed all this. This is 4.5 pounds of root vegetables. Now, if you wanted to, you could put kohlrabi in here. You could put potatoes in here. Any mild flavored root vegetable would work. You could throw a little bit of carrots in here, but you wouldn't want to do a whole bunch. So, 4.5 pounds of root vegetables cut to 1 inch. Now we're gonna put the garlic in there. We're just gonna say for every pound of root vegetables, let's do a whole bulb of garlic. Now, I wish this was our garlic, however, it's not, because our beautiful dog Juniper has decided that she is also a garlic lover, and she pulls the garlic out of the ground with her little teeth, pulls the plant up, and eats my garlic. So I have surely not as much as I started with this year. I think I'm still gonna get some, but we'll see. Crazy dog. Anyways, just gonna take the paper off. I mean, you know how to do that. Sometimes, when you get garlic in Alaska, it's a little rubbery because it's, you know, sat somewhere for so long. It's surely not commercially grown here. And so you can just twist it and that'll break the little papers generally, but this seems to be a little fresher than normal. So we'll use the smack it method. I just put the garlic clove on the cutting board and I take a wide knife. I wouldn't do this with like a skinny steak knife or anything. And I lay the side of my knife right on the garlic and smash it with the palm of my hand, and then the paper just pops right off. And the garlic clove gets a little smashed, but man, who cares? We're gonna blend all this up in the end anyways. I'll tell you, it's not fun when you get your finger munched by your favorite zester in the world, and then you try to get fresh garlic in the hole that the zester made. Okay, remember how I said I was a cook as I go kind of lady? I decided that 3 bulbs of garlic was enough for this recipe, so we got 1 extra. So the next, it's really easy. It's just like making roasted vegetables. We're just gonna pour some olive oil on here. Okay, I don't know, 4 tablespoons. We're gonna do, let's see, teaspoon of salt for each pan, so 2 teaspoons of salt. This is Redmond's livestock salt that I ground down so that I could save money instead of paying the high prices of the Redmond real salt. I did a video about that. I'll link it at the end if you're interested in it, about how they compare to one another and what the actual differences between the 2 types of salt are. I use this all the time, every day. It's been a lovely addition to our life. Okay, so I have the oven preheating to 350. When it's all the way nice and hot in there, I'm gonna put these in there and let them cook for 30 minutes. And so I'll meet you back then. All right, I checked them. They weren't quite done yet. So I added 10 more minutes, and the problem was that the temperature should have been 400 instead of 350. So redo. Okay, we got waylaid for a little bit, but now we're back. All right, all of our vegetables are roasted. Okay, we're just gonna scrape them off into this big pan. Okay. Okay, we're gonna add a quart of chicken broth. Oh, goodness. There we go. Okay, we're gonna get the immersion blender out and blend this up, and then we'll see. We'll probably add another quart of chicken stock in there, so you can see. All right, let's get this immersion blend up and see what it looks like. Okay, it's still a little chunky. I like the little chunks in it, but it's a little bit too thick to safely be canned, so I'm gonna add 2 more cups of chicken stock. All right, 2 more cups. Let's see how it goes. Okay, we got it all blended up. I want to show you the consistency. So it's pretty wet and pretty loose, which is what you really need for canning. I still think I'm gonna add 1 more cup of this chicken broth, just because it's important that when you're pressure canning, you have enough liquid in there for the heat transfer. There we go. Okay, now this soup is so good by itself. It's so sweet and so just beautiful. I don't want to add too much seasoning. It's so good. It tastes like, oh, like garlic and a fresh turnip. It's delicious. I'm just gonna add a little bit of salt and pepper, like, whew, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, because I don't want to overdo it. I can always add pepper later when I open the jar if I want. And I'm gonna add a little bit more salt. Let me find my salt. Okay, so we're gonna add, man, this is so good by itself, maybe 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Let's mix that up and see what we think. And remember, I'm going to put all this consolidated in the description below for you, so you don't have to write all this stuff down. Sorry about this, scraping the spoon on the bottom of the pan. I'm sure that was delightful for you. All right, let's see what we think. It's so good. It's so good. Okay, we're going to get the pressure canner ready now. We're going to put 2 inches of water in the bottom and get it start heating up, and we're going to get this soup into pint-sized jars today. Because I got waylaid with baby goat business, this soup is actually cold right now. It's not hot. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put it in the jars and then put it in the canner and let them all warm up together. It'll take a little bit longer to vent. It's easier that way. It uses a little bit less propane than heating this up, heating that up. Just better to heat it all up at the same time. I don't always follow the approved methods. I'm just showing you what I do. But if you go to the National Center for Food Preservation, you'll see that you kind of have it carte blanche when it comes to making soup with vegetables in it. There's just a couple of rules to follow, and basically it all cooks for the same amount of time. So nothing too technical. Okay, I changed my mind. I'm going to can these up in quarts. Normally I can soups in pints because Mr. Reeve really likes to take it to lunch, and that's a perfect portion for him. But this soup is so good that I am going to want to be eating it for dinner. And so a quart is the right size for us to have it for dinner, and then a little bit left over for Mr. Reeve for lunch. So I'll show you one of these. Pretty easy. You're going to get a jar funnel, put it in your jar, give yourself 1 inch of headspace. The headspace for 1 inch, I'll show you. Oops, we need a little bit more. Then I'll show you. Okay, 1 inch of headspace means you're just going right to that rim. This is about 1 inch from the top of this jar to that little ring there. Okay, so 1 inch of headspace means there needs to be 1 inch of air above your soup. And so that's perfect if I fill it just up to that ring. All right. Okay, now we're going to wipe the rim of the jar with some vinegar. It's going to cut any grease. Remember, we put a little bit of olive oil in there when we roasted the vegetables. We want to make sure it's nice and clean. I always run my fingers along the top. It's just what I do. Remember, okay, it's just me and I go rogue. But it's how I know that my jars aren't chipped and there's nothing on there that my paper towel missed. Okay. We're going to put our lid on. There's a little rubber seal on there that goes right on the rim of the jar. We're going to put the ring on finger tight, which means we spin the ring just until, if I can get it to catch, there we go, just until it catches. Okay, now you're going to turn and tighten the ring down 1/8 of a turn or 1/8 of a circumference of this jar. Okay, I'm going to get all these jars filled up and put in this canner. I'm going to warm it all up together. It's going to, when it starts venting, I'll set a timer for 10 minutes. I'll let it vent for 10 minutes, which just means the steam comes out. Then I'm going to put a 10-pound weight on the top, and for quarts, I'm going to let it cook and pressure can for 75 minutes. If I did decide to do pints, it would have been 60 minutes. And so then I'll meet you back when the pressure canning is done. Now, if you're new to pressure canning, I don't suggest that you follow my very short synopsis of pressure canning today. Keep in mind, I go rogue, so be comfortable with what you're comfortable with. I'm just showing you what I'm comfortable with. Okay, we'll see you back when all this is canned, and we'll take a look at it. Okay, guys, we got our soup all canned up. It's cooled now. I think my new canning motto is, it ain't gonna look pretty when it's done, but it's gonna taste good. I did get a little bit of siphoning. You can see it's lost some of its liquid. You can see that space there that we didn't have before. And that's okay, that happens sometimes. This is real life. And I'm not just gonna throw this away. I'm not gonna assume it's not sealed, but I'm gonna take care to make sure that it is sealed before I stick it on my shelf. So what I'm gonna do different rather than something that hadn't siphoned is I'm going to take the ring off, which I do for all my jars. I'm going to try to pull it off, and I'm not strong enough to pull it off, which means right now it's sealed. But what I don't know is if there's any food stuck up underneath this lid. And that will cause it to break the seal later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this upstairs on the counter for just about a week. I'm going to check it, make sure, you know, as I walk by, I'll check, okay, are you still sealed? Are you still sealed? And if in a week or so it's still nice and sealed, I'll go ahead and put it downstairs in the basement in the pantry. And I have had plenty of jars that have lived their full 2-year lifespan, being a jar that siphoned and had sealed just fine. So anyways, that's what I'm going to do different. As always, thanks for joining us on Flat Tire Farm. I hope you enjoyed my little video about roasted turnip and garlic soup today. If you didn't want to turn it into brown schmoo like I did by canning it, you could just cook it like we did before and eat it up for dinner, and that would be beautiful. Stay tuned for the next one, guys. Ooh, you just touched the fence, didn't you? Pig, pig, pig! Pig, pig, pig! Here they go. Pig, pig, pig! Yeah, you gotta stay away from that fence, girl. It's hot. Hi, piggos. Hi, piggos. Yeah. We'll get our pig snacks. Yeah, hold on. I have opposable thumbs, so I can turn off the fence. Yeah. You're okay, girl. Yeah. Are you gonna visit with the pigs? She's like, get me away from the fence now. All right, piggos. There you go. Yeah. Oh, that's good snacks. It's good snacks, huh? Juniper, are you eating the pig food? You weirdo? Juniper, you want some? You're gonna eat the pig food too? You're a good girl. All right, so have at it, dude. Okay. Apparently, turnip greens are a Juniper snack also. Albert. Oh, there you go, buddy. You got your own. You don't want to take mine? Okay. Let's get the rest of this in there. Happy snack time. You guys are funny.